from far from home, doing what he can to keep the lights turned on. This city, man, it's got me here.
Hello, this is Jeremy with the eCommerce Redneck podcast, and today we've got some really special guests. We're talking about AI, personalization, and automation, and we've got some amazing guests from Delian with Recomaze, which is an AI personalization tool. Hey man, we have Jason Nias, who is the GM of Shopware. Shopware is a new platform that's really making some noise because they are using AI. As well, we have it looks, well, I don't know if we lost him, but Camille Bonk. I may have said that wrong.
You're good.
And Casey, but Casey fell off. So Casey may join us later. Casey is from Oryx Group. He is an agency owner. And if you could go ahead and add Delian in as well, that would help. All right. So just to kind of kick things off, I'll let everybody kind of go around and introduce yourself. So if we could start with you, Camille, if you could kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Camille Bank. I am a AI integration consultant and a fractional chief AI officer for some of my clients. And I also write a newsletter called the AI Adopters Club on Substack, which has been going great. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. So that's what I do. Since I was always a consultant, I was a design thinker before, but ever since GPT came out to the more public phase in end of 2022, and I was in the middle of a consulting gig, I started using it and immediately knew, okay, this is something to kind of get my teeth in. And yeah, it's been going great. On the e-commerce side, I actually started a fragrance brand on Shopify before. I was on their Shopify Masters podcast, and I wish I had AI back then. I mean, it would have been much easier. That was in 2019. So not too long ago, but a lot has changed ever since.
Amazing. And I've known you, Camille, for a little bit. Very excited to have you on here. Such an honor.
Thank you.
Only thing I don't like is I like to be the best looking guy on the podcast, and it's never that way with you, man.
I guess it helps to shave after all, every once in a while.
I always give him a hard time about being so pretty. Delian, if you could introduce yourself.
Sure. As Delian, it's founder of Recomaze.AI. We're a smart recommendation engine for e-commerce companies. We're able to personalize the journey of first-time visitors, which is actually a big segment in e-commerce. It's more than 80% of the traffic. And we're able to do that because we are not using cookies and we don't need past history data about those visitors, which makes us pretty effective on engaging and converting first-time visitors. In terms of background, I'm an agency guy coming from this world, actually, having experience on scaling systems, especially using AI. So here to help with any insights on that.
Awesome. Delian, really enjoy this guy. Very intelligent. He's shaking things up with Recomaze. Recomaze is also where I'm the director of partnerships. So I'm a little biased, I'd have to say. But there's a reason I joined it. I absolutely believe in the product. And last but not least, we did have another guest, but he had a power failure right as we came on. And that was actually Casey from Oryx Outdoor Group. And if he comes back, we'll let him in. If not, we'll catch him on another episode. But Jason and I met a while back. He is the GM and president of Shopware, which is just impressive. It's both on-premise and SaaS forms of it, I believe. And it has some of the most incredible AI I've heard about. So, Jason, could you introduce yourself?
I'd love to. Thanks for having me, Jeremy. Now I know why I got invited. If your goal is to be handsome, the most handsome one on the pod, I'm an easy one to always add to that so that you stay best looking. Now, I've been in e-commerce for 25 years, worked with virtually every platform in the business, and I joined Shopware for a lot of reasons. But one of them is how they launched their product in December of 2019, which makes us the largest at-scale, new, most modern product in the market. And there's enormous execution advantages for our merchants, especially in the context of AI. And so I can't wait to unpack the way that we kind of think about it and how we're using AI to really reduce the cost of commerce.
Well, I absolutely think, Jason, y'all are shaking things up. I have to say, in the agency world, the platform outside of, Shopify, BigCommerce, some of those that are always in the conversation, the new one that's being talked about is Shopware. Almost every conversation with these agencies. And, it's such a great fit. And y'all have really championed a lot of things in a more open commerce way. With that said, in AI, how have you championed AI in that type of platform and maximized the results for your clientele?
Yeah. Well, let's start a little bit with the problems we're trying to solve and how we use AI to go do it.
Right.
I've never met an e-commerce manager in my life that has enough capacity to get through all of the things on their priority list. In fact, we say there's a lot of blue collar work being done by white collar people. And what I mean by that is there's a bunch of bureaucracy on adding products, categorizing them, getting the images, and really making sure the experience is what brands, B2B or B2C, want in that experience. And so what Shopware has done with our first round of AI, and there's a lot of really interesting agentic stuff we're going to announce in a few weeks, but is really take every function inside of our commerce platform and try to apply AI to it. So instead of becoming a creator of descriptions or a cut and a paster, you are basically just an approver, and you're letting AI do the heavy lifting at every stage along the 40-ish aspects of adding a product and merchandising and reporting and all these things. So our goal is to simply apply AI everywhere and let people opt into using it if it makes their job better. So reduce the requirements to really run e-commerce. And so that's really the phase one, is let's take costs out, let's make it really efficient, and let's make the people that we're working with be able to get their list done faster to help the business really grow and accelerate. So that's really been the first phase.
And with that, that sounds primarily like a lot of automation that's really working in your favor. Guys, feel free to jump in, ask questions as well. Camille or Delian, interject. This is an open conversation between us, obviously, but I think I would like to hear, Delian, how does your product kind of answer the broad personalization question, today's topic, personalization and automation?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I think nowadays it's a lot about AI agents. I think if last year the hype word was AI, this year it's for sure AI agents. So everyone is saying that they're doing personalization, and they do, of course, but for nowadays, I think personalization is more than just adding a name to an email or showing some recently viewed products. I think that's easy to be done more. But I can only speak from my experience, what we do. So what we do and why we target the first-time visitors especially is because it's the largest source of traffic. Most of the e-commerce store have at least more than half of their visitor being first-time visitors. Statistics says that more than 82% of the web traffic is actually coming from first-time visitors. And then if you're a brand that you're very active and you're spending ads, then even more than 90% of your store can be first-time visitors. And these first-time visit, it's a make it or break it, because, and we see that a lot because we have a lot of data now. We've been, since our launch, more than 1,000 shops installed us, and some of them being enterprise level, most of them being small shops and mid-market. So what we can say is, what we can tell using the data that we have is, people, they have a lot of issues to, if you're a first-time visitor, you don't know the products, you don't know the UI. Sometimes people have weird ways of adding products into different menus, sub-menus, collections. So as a first-time visitor, it's really hard to get what that brand is really selling. And then it's really hard to detect if you think about traditional systems. So if you have the visitor as an existing client and it is logged in, then the name, the location of the products, the preference, everything. But then imagine it's the first-time visitor, so it's first visit there, you have nothing about. And cookies are still in place, I know, but that doesn't give you too much data. So what we do with Recomaze, we analyze in real time everything: hardware, software, behavior, mostly behavioral data. And of course, it's a lot of collaborative AI filtering. And based on that, we're able to instantly detect the intent. So, and it's not just detecting the intent, but we're also guiding the visitor to through the funnel, so they complete a purchase. That's what we do. I hope that Jeremy answers your questions. If not, I'll be happy to add more.
Yeah, well, as far as that goes, Recomaze definitely has a different approach, I think, than a lot of AI, in that it is very focused on using that data to continually perfect the conversion. And it's driven by conversions, and it also only has about a 3% click out rate, which for an agent of any kind, whether it's a chat agent or whatever, you don't want people clicking away. That means they're not using it. So that's important. I love the software. It's awesome, D-Land. Camille, I know you are an AI wizard. You're always coming up with stuff that's stunning to me. What do you know in the personalization automation world? What have you seen that's absolutely killing it?
Well, first of all, I just removed the paywall of an article for your audience on Shopify specifically. And obviously they do personalization. But before I answer that, I'm actually curious, Delian, I wanted to ask you a question. So the CEO, Toby Lutke, in this article too, and beginning of April, there was a memo that supposedly leaked, where he basically said that he expects everybody internally to use AI as a default, kind of like a baseline. And I know that translates also in developing Shopify features that are more AI enabled. They already have some. They're already kind of democratizing AI, making it very easy to use for a lot of their merchants. Did you see any uptake in terms of your app downloads on one side, or is it more like a threat on the other side? Like, where do you see that play into with your business there?
Well, I read that memo as well. As a funny thing, actually, our investors actually sent that article because it says that it also says that they would not increase their headcount and will, it's more like a guiding, hey, look, we're going to use more AI. But actually, that's what's happening everywhere. All of us, we're trying to use AI to be more efficient. In terms of what's happening on Shopify, yes, I can tell that I see an increase in us getting hits and visits for terms like AI agents, AI upsell, or AI personalization. Actually, if you go in the App Store right now and you start typing on the Shopify App Store search bar AI agent, the first suggestion will be, in most cases, Recomaze. And then also we're listed as being the first we're ranking first on that keyword, AI agent. And we are seeing an increase of organic downloads. And actually all meetings that we have, like demos, customers meetings with the customer success manager, we can see that a lot of people are actually looking to use AI in a smart way in automating some of their tasks. And I think 70% of the features that we have right now on Recomaze or are on the roadmap is actually not coming from us. It's actually coming from very smart people that they know their business, being fashion, furniture, cosmetics, whatever. And they really have some pain points they want to solve. So yeah, I see that as happening a lot.
That's awesome. Great to hear that. Jeremy, what was your question earlier?
I was wondering what else you've seen out there, what kind of things maybe you've used in e-commerce, in automation and personalization in those two areas. I know you're always coming up with crazy stuff in AI. Guys, I've got to tell you, this is a little commercial for Camille. If you're not following him and you dig AI, you should. He's amazing. He's got great content. And he has posts that are absolutely fire. Go ahead, Camille. Sorry, just had to puff you up a bit.
Content curator these days. I feel like because I can not have too many hands on everything. But one thing that I actually just had, I'm in the middle of a negotiation with a company that is trying to create a platform for influencers, and they have, I can't say too much, but they have real estate tied into that. And their idea is to create a space for influencers to, create very elaborate video and product placement type of style videos with sponsors meeting influencers right there on a spot. And I'm trying to figure out how to carve out the space for that, because what I've seen when it comes to how you can place a product with a person and a background in a different context just by clicking a couple of buttons, it's so fast. And when it comes to personalization, well, in e-commerce, the typical thing that you've seen is the try-on, maybe in some websites where you can upload your photo and then you can get one of those, I don't know, dresses or suits, and you can put them on virtually, or glasses, right? And it works really well. So that's the main thing that I'm really excited about. And I'm also worried because a lot of influencers, their business model is going to change. But that's some of the exciting things that I've seen recently, especially for video, actually, and coherent type of frame to frame product that's not changing, that's very accurate. Like there's a lot that's being done right now.
Well, yeah. I've been amazed with some of the things that I've seen. Now, I will tell you, on Shopify, for instance, there's over 1,900 AI products. So there's plenty of trash out there too. But there's also some
right now.
Yeah, there's really some good products too. And one of the things I would like to do is maybe reposition this to Jason to kind of let him tell us a little bit more about, how, because Jason, I know, obviously I'm pretty agnostic as far as platforms. I have the platforms I prefer, and they're generally, Shopware, Shopify, BigCommerce primarily. But I feel like recently, if you're not talking about AI, from a marketing standpoint for your platform, but also a practical standpoint, people aren't paying attention. So I'd love to hear, what that challenge has been like to you to keep things continually modernizing and staying relevant when you have challengers like Shopify, BigCommerce, etc.
Yeah. Well, first of all, there are 18 vendors in the commerce landscape or the last Gartner Magic Quadrant. There's a tremendous amount of really great products out there, and Shopify is no exception. In fact, we send leads every week for simple commerce over to Shopify. If your business fits in that box, you should buy from them. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's designed to give small companies scale of a bigger one. Where Shopware really comes into play is when there's a lot of complexity. Complexity because of your number of stores, because of your number of products, because you're selling regulated items, because you have a need for a PIM, or because you're a distributor and live in a world where you don't have margin to share as a rev share. Okay, so that's kind of the box at which Shopware fits in, is when you need those use cases. And so what's distinct about those use cases is they have specific needs that make them an inefficient use case in a lot of ways. And so when we think about how do you apply AI, let's take a B2B use case as an example. B2B is a $26 trillion e-commerce opportunity. However, 90% of that number is locked in the hands of the sales reps. And so when you think about how do we enable sales reps to really adopt digital, think about it in the context of how do we give them either the ability to see more customers, think digital sales room, which is a utility we have, or how do we make the blue collar work, the operational work of dealing with their pipeline, of closing out their deals, of managing all of those aspects, how do we automate those? And this is where that second half, this is where agentic commerce can really come into play. There's a tremendous amount of capabilities that you can give to sales reps to essentially give them more capacity and more ability to make more money. And so when you think about how do you apply AI, I think the most pragmatic way to do it is to figure out what problem you're going to solve, and then what systems you can use. Like some of the folks on the phone or on the line have had great examples, but it's really kind of hyper-focused on what use case are we solving and how do we allow AI to go do it, reduce costs, improve workflows, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of how we view it, Jeremy, is really what problem are we going to solve and how do we allow AI to go solve that so it frees up capacity for the merchant to do other things. We don't view this as a way to eliminate jobs. We view this as a way to make the pie bigger. And that's an important distinction.
I love it. And, I love to hear that you don't think your platform is for everybody, because I have talked to leadership from different companies and they don't all feel that way. And I think that's kind of funny, because when you look at it from a technological standpoint and you start really trying to solution for certain types of customers, you really realize very quickly that, in fact, they're not, one size does not fit all, and certain platforms are better for certain things. And we need that. We need that. And we need platforms like yourself that are AI focused and moving forward, because those are the platforms of the future. Those are the ones that I believe are really going to make an impact. I would like to open up. Oh, Camille,
I have
go
a
ahead.
question here. I have a
Yes,
question
sir.
to Jason, actually, since you mentioned the platforms of the future. So I've been tinkering with this idea, and I was actually thinking of the platform of the future, and if anybody's already developing it, and that would be an A-to-A commerce platform, meaning agent to agent, not even readable by humans necessarily, but specifically tailored to agents that make autonomous purchasing decisions for their clients. This could be an aggregate site or a market. I don't know exactly yet, but I would love to hear a little bit more about that. If you already have plans, or if you heard anything about that.
Oh, we're absolutely thinking about it. I don't want to pre-announce anything, but the way that we think about it is, Shopware is effectively a very developer-centric platform. And we're PHP, we're Symfony, we're open source, and about 100,000 plus developers who used to build on Magento a decade ago have really pivoted their energy and efforts into Shopware. And so we're a 450-person company. And so our ability to build everything that everyone would need is limited by the number of our own resources. And this is where being an open source platform has enormous network effects. And so, Camille, we're designing all sorts of what we're calling Codies, which are little elephants that have the Shopware logo on it. And each one of these Codies are going to be special agents that go off and perform tasks. We're going to announce in about 3 weeks at our Shopware Community Day, June 5th, basically all of these Codies that are coming out. And one of them, as an example, doesn't get exactly to your use case, but is a Codie that says, we're going to go off and look at all of our products in our catalog. We're going to look in the market at the identified companies who we compete with and how they're pricing the same products. This is a very kind of price sensitive use case. And what we're going to do is we're going to have the agent go off, look at the product's prices, come back, and then inform the system, raise the price, lower the price, or keep the price the same based on whatever frequency we want to go do that. And so this will automate all that entire process so that the expensive software you're using to do that today and the manual process you're doing to update the prices go away. And so that's an example of how you can apply agentic to both reduce costs, make you more efficient, and frankly, grow your revenue because it makes you more competitive in the space you are. So I know, like I said, I don't want to pre-announce anything, but this gives you a line of thinking as to how Shopware is really thinking about these Codies as agents for good on behalf of our merchants.
Got it.
You
Cool.
heard
I'd
it
love to
here,
talk more about that
folks.
with you.
Y'all heard it here first. The Codies from Shopware.
Sorry, this is why I don't do a lot of these things, because if I have information, I have a hard time keeping it to myself.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'll tell you, I'm just excited in general about what Shopware is doing. I really think, for instance, kind of your white glove service sales agent that you have is extremely unique, extremely good tool for when you do have salespeople. I would like to open up, unless y'all have anything else to say right away, to the audience to be able to ask questions. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. Yosef.
Yeah. Are you using the Google new A2A protocol for that, or how do you come up?
And this is where I get in trouble. I start talking to people.
Okay, I'll lower my hand.
Honestly, so one of our benefits at Shopware is that we have two founders. One is more of an artist and one is more of a scientist. And the chief nerd in our business is a guy named Stefan Hamann, and he basically is dedicated full time to what's next in e-commerce. And he's a really good follow on LinkedIn. He posts about weekly about what he sees in the future of e-commerce. And I would connect you, Lars, with him, and you can ask him these hard questions that are way over my head.
Yeah, we are doing this, but not for e-commerce, but e-commerce works in our system.
Got it.
So we are trading the behind. Yeah, we can go into it.
Very cool. Very cool. Anybody else got a question they want to ask from the audience? All right. Camille, Delian, Jason, do y'all have anything else you'd like to share? Maybe something you're promoting at the moment or in your network?
Well, I have a question for Delian, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So how do you think about the end state of, let's call it mass dynamic personalization, where every single visitor kind of gets the experience that is most likely to be what they're looking for? Is that the end state, or is there something beyond that? And is that what you're building towards?
Well, what we're building right now, and that's the roadmap that we have. We want to replace current way that people are actually buying.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll go there, but I think it's too early to just Recomaze being an agent that it's only for other agents. Our focus right now is just to replace the way people buy, meaning imagine having Recomaze on a shop that doesn't have menus like browsing options, search bars, filters, anything, and you can just do it with Recomaze by just being guided or asking questions, even by voice soon, or you're just uploading something that you would love. Like, you'll go in a shop and you don't need all the existing tools. You just speak with Recomaze like you would speak with a sales person, and we'll answer everything you want to know, and we'll guide you to that. So, but where I would actually love as an end state is, a lot of people are using AI to replace human. And I get that. We all do that, as in a way or another, we say, hey, we're not replacing humans. We're just, enhancing, we're um, doing more with less. But I think where we should pay some attention and where is our vision, because you asked me about what's the end goal. My end goal, and here at Recomaze, what we try not to do, or what we still try to do, is still keeping the human part, not making, first of all the interactions that we have with our AI agent sounds very AI, but actually more human. Then we don't do creepy stuff like collecting data that could identify the visitors as real person, like the zip code, the IP, the name. So still the data is very anonymized, which makes us also CCPA compliant and GDPR compliant. But the whole thing at the end is, I think whatever we build with AI has to be built for humanity, not against the humanity. I mean, everything that we build should be actually built to help people, not to manipulate them or making them take decisions or act.
Well, and this is the thing.
Human acts, algorithms.
This is the thing with conversions. Really,
Yes,
it's about the natural flow of how they buy anyhow. So if you're appropriately converting them, that means you're adjusting things. And the one thing I will say about Recomaze that I really dig, Jason, that I think is really cool, is that on the front end, it works very well to increase conversions, but also you can fine tune it. Like very soon we'll have prompting in there where you can actually prompt it to your own voice. So you can have particulars about how you want it to present. So not only fine tuning from the data, but fine tuning from how you want to be heard. So, it's a very exciting, product in that regard. Camille, did you have any closing statements or anything you wanted to turn anybody on to?
No, I mean, I'm not exclusively e-commerce focused, obviously, so I'm thinking a little bit more in broader terms. But I think it's a super exciting time because opportunities arise everywhere, and even e-commerce is much easier to do now today. At least from idea to execution is much easier. However, those two are not as valuable anymore because now everybody has those tools. The more important thing now is distribution. But generally, I'm just excited. I have this topic that I'm working on. It's going to be called Renaissance 2.0. I'm excited that I see a world where generalists will be able to thrive a little bit more than they have before because of the specific environment that we're moving into. And I'm just here for it. I'm here to help people with that. So that's what I'm taking care of with AI Adopters Club.
Excellent. Well, that is all for the e-commerce redneck podcast portion of this.
Country boy off a far from home, doing what he can to keep